Okay, so we're diving into something pretty unique today. Someone sent us, well, a text dated March 21st, 2025.
2025. That's interesting.
It is. And it seems to be a transcription of doesn't ring a bell. Don't worry, we'll break it down.
Right from the start, it jumps into these big, like, spiritual concepts. Yog bal, the power of spiritual effort.
And this idea that we're souls, incarnate, which is like self-aware, I guess.
Yeah, and there's this father figure, this guide who's going to help us become pure, break free from all the suffering.
Specifically, it mentions the chains of Ravan.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we're already in pretty deep territory.
We are. But that's why we're here, right? To explore these ideas.
Absolutely. One thing that struck me is how the text talks directly to you children. Right off the bat, it asks this huge question, what's the role of this father?
And how do we understand it?
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting. The text says the Father is here to take away our sorrow, give us happiness, free us from those chains of Ravan.
Like, he's the key to our liberation.
It goes even further. It says, truly knowing this Father is how we understand ourselves, and what we inherit spiritually. That's powerful stuff.
Okay, so let's unpack this father figure a bit.
Sure.
The text talks about a divine birth, not like a regular birth, with a date and time. Like, it mentions Krishna's birth as an example.
Right, a specific date. But this father, it's different.
Totally. It says he enters another being to share this knowledge, this understanding about existence, this whole unlimited drama of it all.
It's like he's coming from outside the usual flow of time.
I love this imagery the text uses. It talks about night turning into day, where night is maybe a time of devotion, but without full understanding, or maybe even spiritual ignorance.
And day then is like knowledge arriving.
Yes. And get this father appears during the deepest part of the night. It calls it tarifla, this like intense spiritual darkness.
Whoa. It's like hope arriving when we need it most.
Right. Okay, so that contrast, that divine birth thing,
Yeah.
it implies something, well, otherworldly, right?
Totally. It's like a different reality, not bound by our normal human cycle. And tying that to the night and day metaphor, arriving in Kanakon Kantur, this isn't just a subtle change.
No, it's an awakening.
Exactly. Like the sun rising after the longest night.
And it calls our current time the confluence age.
Yeah.
Which is
like twilight. Or dawn.
Yes. A unique period in between where one era transitions into the next. In this cycle of creation, it's the hinge point, connecting the night and the day, each lasting for half the cycle.
Fascinating.
Right. And here's where things get really interesting. The text says we can become world conquerors.
World conquers.
Yeah, but not through armies or anything like that. It's through this yug ball, this power of spiritual effort.
Oh, okay. So inner strength, not physical.
And it even calls it science bell.
Science bell. That's a new one.
It is. Then it contrasts this with the Himena, the sages and seers.
Right. Always searching for peace.
But the text says they haven't grasped the real meaning of peace. It's like Yog Bal is a more direct path, a scientific method to master oneself, maybe even the world in a spiritual sense.
Okay. So not just longing for peace, but achieving cleft sword through Yog Bal, the science ball. It's active. There's a method to it.
Exactly. And how does this text view our human journey? It says our souls came from a sweet silence home, Kash,
a place of perfect peace.
to play our roles here, experience happiness, which it calls heaven, and sorrow, which it calls hell.
The duality of life.
Right. There's even this plea to the pure Balga.
The purifier, remover of sorrow, giver of happiness.
Asking to be freed from Ravan's chains. It paints our existence as this back and forth between those states, and a longing to return to that initial peace.
It's a powerful way to look at life, this yearning for the pure. It reflects this deep desire to escape the cycle of suffering, to return to that original bliss.
And that connects directly back to the father figure.
Yes. He's the one who can free us from Ravan's grip, from those forces that cause suffering.
So for those who want to get straight to the point, the text says, knowing this father gives us an understanding of the whole cycle of existence, something people search for endlessly.
And often with a lot of hardship.
The text also makes a distinction between the mother and the father. It refers to the mother as Hirya.
Interesting.
And when it comes to spiritual inheritance, the text is clear. It comes from the father, not the mother, like identifying the primary heir.
That focus on the father as the source of Gonaka is central. It makes him the one who bestows spiritual knowledge, the key to liberation and true understanding.
Okay, and last thing before we jump into the takeaways, this text says Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar were often seen as major deities.
Right, big figures in other traditions.
For children of Shiva.
Shiva.
Yes. And Shiva is this unlimited creator, the source of everything. It's a very specific hierarchy, placing even those powerful figures within a larger family.
A cosmic family tree, with Shiva at the root.
Exactly. So this air gun, it gives us a whole view of reality, centered on spiritual effort, recognizing ourselves as souls, the guidance of this Father, and this whole cycle of time.
It's comprehensive.
It is. Now let's look at the outro, see what practical takeaways it offers. What do we do with all this?
All right, so the text emphasizes remembering the Father. It says that's how we purify past negative actions, Pitain Puron. It even suggests offering the 5 vices, 5 ad as charity.
Oh, like a spiritual detox.
Exactly. Remembering the Father helps us dissolve past karma. And offering up the vices is like actively purifying ourselves.
That's an interesting take on there. It says it's the highest action, both in devotion and in this path of knowledge.
But it makes a distinction. In traditional devotion, Meye is often given with the hope of future rewards.
Right. You give to get something back later.
Exactly. But here, it's about the immediate impact, transformation in the present moment. The text even calls India, May Pete the Cow, the great donor.
Because of its long history of giving.
Perhaps. But this understanding of a shift, it's not transactional anymore. It's about changing ourselves now, not hoping for something better later.
And the text circles back to the cycle of time, the descent from purity to impurity, and the confluence age as the bridge between them.
The turning point.
It says this understanding of the cycle is unique to those who receive this knowledge.
Like they have a blueprint that others don't.
Precisely. And for those who love those aha moments, the text explains our journey from purity to impurity.
And how we got here.
It uses the symbol of defeat by the 5 vices, represented by Ravan, that ancient enemy.
Ravan and the 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego.
But the empowering thing is, it says we can overcome them through divine guidance.
So we identify the challenge, and we're given the tools to overcome it.
Now, going back to that idea of spiritual inheritance, the text says surrendering to the Father grants us kingship of heaven for 21 births.
Whoa, that's a long time.
A long, healthy life, free from untimely death. The thing is, it's a significant benefit for that spiritual commitment.
It really highlights the power of that relationship with the Father, surrender leading to such a positive outcome.
Lastly, the text introduces this Yaiti.
Which is it?
It's about becoming like the deities Lakshmi and Narayan, the rulers of heaven. We achieve this by adopting divine qualities and, importantly, not causing sorrow to others.
Putting those high ideals into practice.
And it reemphasizes the Father's role.
Yeah.
He's the one who removes sorrow, gives happiness. It positions the listener as someone who can guide others, be a light for those in darkness.
Beautiful imagery. It's not just about personal salvation. It's about becoming a positive force.
So this Akan Quadratata, it's a unique perspective. Our spirituality, time, transformation. It ends by saying this knowledge is like Akanadatatena, the third eye. It gives us this special understanding of the Father's roles.
Like a secret window into the truth.
And get this, it says this knowledge will eventually fade, become almost disappear, even from the deities themselves.
Oh, wow.
So the confluence age is a special time, a call to remember that stage of reflection, retirement, and ultimately to return home by remembering Shiva Baba.
To go back to that place of peace.
It really makes you think about how knowledge comes and goes, and how important it is to grasp it while we can.
To make the most of this opportunity in this unique time. The confluence age.
Exactly.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But that's the beauty of a deep dive, right?
Absolutely. We get to explore these fascinating ideas.
And hopefully come away with a fresh perspective.
Well said.